I don't think anyone's excited about rejection. I know I'm not. I get rejected often, uh, and not by everybody, but certainly. When I first started this business, first people I thought about were the people that I knew. Um, but I should have known better because when I first started in banking here in California, I ran to the people that I knew, and those are the people that reject you. So when you're getting started, a lot of people don't necessarily want to get behind you for a variety of reasons. I had one person tell me, "Well, you're new at this, so." And then when I, got certain licenses, I went back to them, and they still rejected me. Rejection happens. It's not something that should destroy you at all. It should build you up. It should make you more confident if you are on the road that you're supposed to be on. It can shake your faith. I've learned and am learning that the big picture, the vision, if you will, that I prayed for takes me being successful at getting beyond certain things. I'm taking this test right now for my securities license to become an investment company. And this pre-test that I'm taking is awesome because it gives me the study material, and then after the study material, I take the trial test, and I have to keep taking trial tests until I pass them. And then I don't know the word. I think it's aggregate, but I don't know if that's the word. But then when you go to the next session and take those trial tests, it takes your overall score down until you pass these. And so you have to pass the next set of tests and then even do above and beyond that to bring this score up with it. Love it. This last section, I took the test 34 times. But I know the material. It is the most humbling thing when to find out that you don't understand what people are communicating to you. Because they're right. They set the standard. They got the test. You got to deal with the rejection. Get over yourself. At least I do. Get over myself and receive the information in a way they're just delivering me the information. Then I can move on to the next section. Next session. How you receive rejection is important. In the book of Exodus, now you knew I was going there, right? Jacob has died. The nation of Israel has been established. Pharaoh is enslaving the Egyptians. Moses is kicking it with his father-in-law and his very beautiful wife, tending to the farm, the ranch, and God tells him to go back to Egypt, and which he starts saying, "Hey, you know, I'm a man who's I stutter. I don't and who are they to listen to me? And what is all that going to now?" I've heard this preached on stage as being negatives. I've never looked at it that way, so when I've heard it preached that way, I didn't like it. Not everyone did, but this man was living his life with his wife, and then God comes to him by burning bush, and he knows God because he was raised by a Hebrew woman. So, it's not that he didn't understand who he was. It's not that he didn't understand who was speaking to him. But he was being told to sacrifice his life to go back to Egypt, even though he was assured by the Spirit of God that the people that were trying to kill him were dead. First thing I want to mention, if God calls you to sacrifice your life to go back to your hometown or your home crew and start over again, where you're going to have to convince thousands of, if not millions of people to follow you out of the town where they live, he's setting himself up for a lot of rejection. Except he had the vision from God. You didn't really think this was going to be easy, starting your business, starting your church, running for office, starting your whatever it is that you're creating, that God gave you a vision for. You didn't really think it was going to be that easy. I'm going to show you the steps and show myself the steps of what made Moses successful. This might be a little bit longer video, but this is a crucial video in this series of videos where we're moving from book to book. Because I got to be honest with you, and I got to be honest about the material that I present from the standpoint that I understand it. Now, maybe my understanding is wrong, but I'm reading directly out of the book, and then after that, I'm going to give you some commentary. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 9, he says, "Now therefore behold the cry of the children of Israel." So that's a need. Moses is the solution to the need. So when we start our businesses, our ministries, our political careers, whatever, it's because there is a need that God has showed us. The need. Again, I'm going to show you. You may or may not believe me, but at least write it down, take notes, and let God confirm it, because he confirms his word. "Now therefore behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me." Starts off with a need. And I also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. There's the reason for the need. There's a need, and there's a reason for the need. Why is that important? Because if you don't know the reason for the need, you don't know what to go after, what to attack, where to show your miracles. The Egyptians oppressed them. Key statement in demonstrating the need. So now your position is to go to the Egyptians who do the oppressing. That's the place where you can demonstrate the need. In my business, in the insurance business, in the demographic that I'm looking to go after, which is a tough demographic. It's like going after the children of Israel. They have a need. They don't necessarily know they have a need, but they know they have a need. Or let me say it like this, they don't necessarily understand that I can give them a solution to their need, because this demographic has been lied to, have not been taught the system of operating, of how insurance actually works in that community. So he's going to show us how to deal with that need. Verse 10, he says, now come, now therefore I will send thee unto Pharaoh, the Egyptian, the leader of the Egyptians, that thou may bring my people, the children Israel, out of Egypt. And then Moses starts saying, said unto God, who am I? Who I? Actually is what it says, who I? That I should go unto Pharaoh. This is not fear. This is anytime somebody asks a question, they're positioning themselves to get an answer. So that's the reason why I don't like it when people start calling people like this fearful. But he's Moses, and he's asking a question. Maybe we should be learning from his example instead of judging the example of the man who obviously was blessed. We are certainly the students here. Who I? So my question to God, who I to bring this information of insurance portfolios instead of death policies. In our community, we've been lied to so much. People think that when you're coming to them, that you're just presenting to them what everybody else presents to them, which are things that don't necessarily benefit the community. So it becomes hard to deal with those people. But God said, Moses said unto God, who I? He asked the question, that I should go to the leader of the Egyptians and present this information to let the children of Israel go. And God tried to reaffirm him, certainly I'll be with thee. He didn't try, he did. And this a token unto thee, that I have sent thee, when thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, calling those things that be not as though they were, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. Mount Horeb is the mountain, or Mount Sinai, which is in between Egypt and today Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the Gaza Strip. So it's right in the middle. He showed him the retirement package. In verse 13, and Moses said unto God, behold, I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers, the sons of God, I come to your children of Israel, because they don't know. And let me stop playing with that. Children don't know. So when you see the word children, you can be assured that these people are not aware. Not all of them are aware of what it took for Jacob, because this is years later, for Jacob to create this place in Egypt for them. The sacrifices of Joseph, one of the ancestors. And he said, the God of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said to Moses, I am that I am. Verse 15, Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. So I'm going to switch all that. We're already at 15 minutes. So So I understand, and I wanted to lay this foundation so that you understood that Moses was in the same position that we are in establishing our businesses. Now, a lot of people don't look at this information this way. I do. I translate the old school information, and I want to see what it looks like in the 21st century. So I went to I've tried going to and sharing my information with the elders that I knew. And it didn't work. So I've been in business since September 2020, and I certainly let the people that I knew know what I do. So in the midst of that, and this is the part that I really love, and this is the part that that I need to incorporate in my own self. So God taught Moses what to do here. The first thing he did was show him in Exodus 4, chapter 2, he showed him what he was working with. He said, and the Lord said unto him, what thy in thy hand? He said, a rod. He says, cast it on the ground. He showed him how to create a miracle with his rod. And we all know the story about the serpent, so I'm going to move on. He showed him how to handle it, grab it by the tail, that sort of thing. The second thing he said is, and the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And his hand, you know the story, his hand turned leprosy, or had leprosy on it, then he put his hand back in. Hands represent service. Hands represent service. He also shared with him that his voice was a tool. And Moses said, verse 10, and Moses, chapter 4, verse 10, and Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I eloquent neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I slow of speech. And the Lord said unto him, who hath made man's mouth? I've made your mouth. With thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. But he also gave him his brother Aaron to work with, who met him on the way, to do the work. Bear with me here, because this is how rejection is one of the biggest problems that we have, at least for me. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe you don't have a problem with rejection. I do. I'm working on it. And I've been in sales for over 30 plus years, 30, 35, whatever. I don't know how many years, 35, 37 years, 30, 40 years. And rejection tears me up every time I need to deal with it. I need deliverance from rejection. Maybe you're not in the same boat. I do. But how Moses, in returning to Egypt, to me, was absolutely amazing. And so for that reason, I wanted to share this with you and see if this is something that could help you. So in dealing with all the rejection that Moses, and keep in mind, he hasn't gone to Pharaoh yet. He's just dealing with this in his mind. And getting prepared. I think what they call that is meditation and prayer. Saying, okay, Lord, this is where I'm at. Okay, I'm going to Egypt. I got it. You got me going to Egypt. Okay, so who am I to do this? What do I have to work with? What am I going to say? I think that's practical. I think it's prudent. I think it's smart. I don't think it's rooted in fear. He went. Even though God got angry with him when he was talking about being eloquent, he's like, all right, so take Aaron with you. And I'm not saying it in a passive, aggressive way. I'm saying that God had an answer for all his questions. Are you receiving the rejection as God giving you the answers to all your questions? Again, this is even before he got started. Exodus 6:4, and I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, which is their permanent land wherein they were strangers. I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. That's 2 chapters later, and there's still preparation. So in Moses, verse 9, and Moses spoke unto the children of Israel, but they hearkened not unto Moses for anguish of the spirit and cruel bondage. So what had happened up to that point is Moses had gone into to talk to Pharaoh, and he cut them off with the straw. God's still preparing them through this whole process. And so they're like, dude, you just made this worse. I mean, this is too deep. And so Moses had to talk to them. So what was the thing that Moses did? And this is the part that I thought was beautiful. In verse 14, these the heads of their fathers' houses. Moses went to talk to 3 heads of the family. One is his family line within the family line. He went to talk to Reuben, Simeon, and Levi. Not the fathers, because they had died off, but he went to talk to head of all 3 of the seniors. Why the seniors? Because they would probably be closest to the information of the past. The God of Jacob, the God of Isaac, the God of Abraham. In my worldview, in my thinking. If I want to get anything, if you want to get anything, you got to find the people who remember the past. Have to. In Exodus chapter 7, after having conversation with the seniors and getting their backing, because he was losing them. Remember when he first left and went off to the land of to the land of Esau? And maybe you don't understand it as the land of Esau. Because, but Esau was in control of that territory at that time. But before that, when he was in Egypt, he had to run away because he killed Egyptian people. And, because he saw the damage being done to the Israelite who he called his brother. And they say, who are you? He was kind of in that same situation. Except he didn't make the mistake of killing anybody or going after Pharaoh or his people. He went, instead of making an immature move, he made a mature move and went to the elders of Israel. And he got buy-in from them, and it was their job to get buy-in. So if we're talking about managers, don't go into someone else's situation and try to convince them, you go to the people who have the authority. Exodus chapter 7 verse 1 says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a guide to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet." People don't see what you call a failure all the time. They see it the right way. They see that you came, you represented, and although Pharaoh rejected it, and I love this, I'm going to stop it here because I'm 25 minutes. I don't usually do videos this long. But I love this, so we're going to come back to this one tomorrow. But I love this because call this one. Because people, what you think is a failure is not a failure. It's called experience. So, when Moses got the buy-in of the elders, at least that's the way I see it. When Moses got the buy-in of the elders, I believe they empowered him to continue to represent the children of Israel in front of Pharaoh. And I believe when Moses didn't go away, that Pharaoh considered him a god. As it says here in Exodus chapter 7 verse 1, because he went back to try again. And not only to try again, but he went back in the eyesight of where God had called him a god, within the sight of Pharaoh, bringing forth a prophet. Where before you look at him and say, "Hey, I need help, so I'm going to give you Aaron," and he was a pilgrim coming in. No, in the eyesight of Pharaoh, he was a god, and Aaron was a prophet. So the way you see yourself is not necessarily the way others see you. That's humility. People see you as you really are, but you can't. But going in telling people I'm a god and this is my prophet brings up walls, as they should. You're just going in as a humble pilgrimage person and your brother Aaron. It's up to the people to see who you are for real, as God is presenting you to them. It was only after this time that God has showed all the preparation, all the prayer that God had given, that Moses was in, so that God can share with him after these things happen. Because God even said to him, "I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart." And Moses was prepared for the hardened heart of Pharaoh. He knew what he was dealing with. And in chapter 7 begins the miracles. Those particular miracles. We're going to come back to this. Thank you for the privilege of your time. I appreciate it. And I hope you got something out of this. This is the part, this is where it really gets thick, as I want to say it.